Hi, in this video I want to talk about something that is personal to me, okay, and it started from quite a young age. I did not know what it was when I was young, but I liked the sound of an exaggerated sneeze. So things like cartoons, like Scooby-Doo, when Gus gets blown into his face and he's hiding and he knows he's going to sneeze but he can't. And it goes on and on until he just achoo! Explodes. I don't know why. I could never understand it. When I was younger, okay, and I read books, and the first book that comes to mind is Sabrina, Teenage Witch, and this is the one book where she develops cold, and I don't know exactly what it was, but it was the words and how it explained how she sneezed, the tickle, struggling for control, trying to master it, but the sneeze always wins out in a book or in a film. Even if they're trying to stop it, the sneeze always wins out. So how the story would explain is to how I'd imagine it in my head. With people doing different things and they knock over, they go into the cupboard and they're searching for something. They just can't find what they want, and then they knock over something. Pepper. The cloud of pepper goes into their faces, and they just get the urge. They know the gunner, and they sneeze. And as a young girl, I'd watch a lot of Disney films. So the part where Captain Hook, after being rescued by Smee, after the near gripping jaws of the crocodile, he's in the cabin, he's resting his feet in a bucket of hot water, and then he's like, the curse of Peter Pan making a fool out of me. And he sneezes, and I'm like, oh, that was good. Fast forward, rewind, play. I do not know what it was. I just like the sound of an exaggerated sneeze. I could never explain it. And there's all sorts of different things where it's happened in Disney's. There's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Sneezy, when they're trying to be quiet, and all of a sudden it's, look, flowers. Oh no, don't do it. Take that away from me. I can't stand it. I can't. Ah! And they dive on him, trying to stop the sneeze. he eventually gets his beard tied around his nose and he just blows. And I'm just like, that is awesome. That is like an epic sneeze. And I think if you happen to be born, okay, and lucky, I might add, to be born in the 1980s or 1990s, you'd be lucky and fortunate to watch the Looney Tunes. And all sorts of people came on here. Bugs Bunny, Tasmanian Devil, the bunnies with the blue ears and the pink ears. And then there was this little tiny mouse. Little, really, really tiny mouse. Oh, but do not be deceived. I will set the scene. There's this young mouse asleep in his bed, trying to go to sleep. And in the background, a ghost on Halloween is set to scare him. And the ghost was his thing. But all of a sudden, his nose goes, twitches, and he starts going. He scares the ghost completely. That mouse had a colossal sneeze. This is the sort of sneeze that could put out in Looney Tunes world a burning building. They were loud, they were dramatic, and they were powerful. I would try and hate these Looney Tunes because I enjoyed them. And when there was a sneeze, I'd rewind it, fast forward it to the exact point and press play. I never understood this at all. I could never comprehend it in my head. This was something that I knew I liked, and I could not work out why. Why? I had no idea. When my sister, and I can't remember how old she was at the time, but she came down with hay fever. She came down with allergies to dogs, cats, and she'd sneeze. She'd sneeze and she'd sneeze, and I'd hate it. I'd literally hate it. I would tell her to shut the hell up because my sister's sneezing did not feel right at all. It was one thing to watch Captain Hook sneeze or sneeze after the Seven Dwarfs sneeze, but for me it was unacceptable to hear my sister sneeze. I would tell her off. I would. And my mom and my dad would be like, just leave her alone. She can't help it. She cannot help it. Don't you understand? She has hay fever. And I'm thinking, but it's wrong for her to sneeze. I hated my family sneezing. There was my sister, and then there was my dad. He was disgusting. Okay, I'm not being mean to him, but he would try. I could see his nose going if he was going to sneeze. He'd try and stop it, but it was usually too powerful for him not to. And I was left feeling repulsed. I was horrified and repulsed, which was a good thing in one sense, if you think about it. Because if I thought it was wrong for my sister to, it was good that I was repulsed by my dad's. And if I could see he was going to sneeze, I don't look at my dad if I can help it. If I can see his nose flare, I think, quick, look in the opposite direction. Don't look at him. When I got older, which was in my teenage years, I found that this sneezing was a little bit of a sexual thing. And I thought, crap, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Boys that I would like at school, I'd imagine them sneezing. And the one time, this was a boy in RA, he threw his head back and let out after sneeze, after sneeze, after sneeze. As he sneezed once, he was overcome by another. And I looked back, and I could see his nose flaring. I'm like, oh. And I'm thinking, well, I can't look at him in case he looks up and he sees me. And I'm thinking, don't look at him, don't look at him. Just listen to him. I did not know what was wrong with me at all. His nose twitched, flared, and I just heard him sneeze. And they were quite powerful sneezes. But this boy had got allergies, so I was sure that I would hear him sneeze more times before we actually left school. One time, he sneezed in a maths class. He saw me. And I raised my eyebrows up and down. I was flirting with him. But he found it so peculiar because he'd never seen anyone do that before. And he fell about laughing. He did not know what I was thinking, and at that point I knew that was something I should perhaps think about keeping to myself. But one time, which was a long time ago, and I lived at home, I wrote myself a story, and it included 4 boys in a bunk bed sneezing. They each had this separate bed, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Their names were Mark, Asen, Keen, and Adam. And I just put it all down on paper, and I would read it over and over. Now, Whereas boys will go to the top shelf in the newsagents and get their porn. This was my naughty but guilty pleasure. I could not explain it. I could never make no one understand, but this was my guilty pleasure. However, the one day my mum decided to clean out my room, and she had to clean out my room when my sister and a friend of ours that we both knew came round to the house. I came home and I don't know what was going on, but I hadn't a clue when I first walked in how the hell they had got their hands on that piece of paper. I was shocked. I was horrified. And so there's my sister and a friend of ours, and they were saying, and Mark sneezed, achoo, 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 and Jason called out, hey man, are you alright? But he was also taken over by a sneeze, and they were going on imitating this sneeze, and they were falling about laughing. I was horrified. I was mortified. But they didn't quite understand what I was doing, so they passed it off as me being a bit weird, which is not always a good thing to be, but okay. When I was ready to talk about this, the only person I told was my boyfriend. Okay, I only ever told one boyfriend, and I'm in this house living with him. I tried to explain something that was really personal, and I was so nervous in telling him. And at the time, because I was watching a film with him, I asked him to pause it, and I tried to tell him. I was so nervous, my arms were shaking. But he didn't make a big deal about it. He just put his arms around me and said, oh, that's all right, you know. I tried to explain in my own words what I felt about it. I encouraged him to think about the last time he sneezed, but he couldn't. But then he said, once I told him, he said I've made him aware of it more. And the thing is about sneezing, it is everywhere. There's colds in the winter, there's allergies in the summer. But one thing I do want to get across is this. I don't, and this is before I actually get accused of this, I hate to see people ill. I don't like to see people ill, okay? If they are ill, then I do whatever I could to make them better. But I just found the sound of a sneeze sexy. I could not explain it at all. I really could not. And when I was trying to explain this to my boyfriend, I what I needed was the words to explain it, and I looked on the internet. And because he said it sounded more like a sneezing fetish, so I looked it up, and all it actually explained so much. It actually said it can start as young as when you are a child. I'm like, oh my god. So I'd read a bit more and I'd read a bit more. And the point is, I'm like, oh my god, this is me. And the more I read, the more I understood. And if people ask me, if they want to ask me any questions, I can explain it. Alright, but there was nothing dirty. There was nothing sordid about it, okay? It's just a naughty, guilty pleasure. It's just the same if a young girl walks about with a low cut top and her boobs are half out. Men are gonna look like, oh god, oh she got some knockers, knocking about, and if someone sneezes, I'm gonna look if I can see it's if I can see it's an attractive person, that's a bit different. But if I can see it's disgusting and I'm completely turned off, then it's not gonna make me want to hear that person sneeze. What is interesting is, okay, I don't want people to judge. Okay, I know people are going to, and some people don't understand, and I know some people will make up their own minds of what they think this is all about, but sneezing is a normal part of life. Everybody does. But it's exactly like men. Do you prefer blondes or brunettes? Squeaky sneeze or a loud sneeze? Do you like boobs or legs? You sort of get to understand your preferences of what you like, and it's just the same as anything else that you find yourself attracted to. So a sneeze is like, to another person, looking at an attractive woman with blonde hair and long legs. It's exactly the same thing. There's nothing dirty, there's nothing, there's nothing wrong in it at all. And this is the message that I want to get across too. There's nothing wrong in it. It is usually the sort of thing you'd want to keep to yourself. It's not usually the type of thing you want to broadcast, because people take all sorts of views on this. But as I've tried to explain, it's exactly like looking at a beautiful girl with her boobs out. It's exactly like that. and we, people who have this fetish, should not be discriminated against. People do find it unusual and people don't understand, and some people will give people that they know who have this type of fetish a hard time. But unless you can actually stand up for what you believe in passionately, really passionately, then I wouldn't encourage nobody to go public at all. The reason I'm doing it is because I have got to this point where I don't care, because I know this is a part of me and I accept it. Whether people like it or not, or take a dim view, I know they have the right to their opinion, and they can say whatever they all want, but I can delete you if you are abusive on my YouTube channel. So be warned. Okay, I'm a nice person and I'm not going to argue. If people are going to put nasty things, I will delete you. I know that I don't get off on my own sneezing at all. Okay, no, I actually don't. But if this is what people like and this is what people enjoy, then it's just the same as looking in a magazine on a top shelf. There's nothing wrong in this, alright? And I know that this type of thing is more common in men. Women can have this fetish, don't get me wrong, but it is more common in men. I know occasionally at work, because I'm a cashier, if I've sneezed, I think I remember this one man that was doing his shopping on a till behind me looked up and smiled. And then another time I did, then I actually got a wink. I actually did, but then some men just do nothing. They just bless me, or they ignore me and they go about their day-to-day business. So at the end of the day, respect people for their differences. If you don't understand something, don't be nasty or abusive. Try and understand, or at least get someone to explain it to you, and I don't mind explaining.